Hello. Most students with disabilities spend the majority of their day in general education classrooms. In fact, over 95% of children with identified disabilities in the US are educated in inclusive or general education settings. Yet, many teacher preparation programs still treat disability as an afterthought, offering only minimal coursework or exposure to inclusive pedagogy. This leaves future teachers underprepared and students underserved. Our work asks, what happens when we center disability justice in general education from the very start? Before we dive into the study, it is important to share who we are and why the work matters so deeply. My name is Maria Mavrides-Calderon, and I am an assistant professor from Hunter College, CUNY, and I am a Latina scholar and educator and a mother of a child with a physical disability. Too often, I watch my daughter encounter teachers who saw her only as the special education student, not as the whole person with a rich intersectional identity. My author, Isabel, is a disabled activist and a teacher candidate whose lived experience informs every part of my advocacy and her research, as well as this study. Together, we approach these works as scholars, caregivers, and insiders. Our purpose was to explore how infusing disability justice principles into general education literacy methods could shift teacher candidates' perspectives and prepare them to work in inclusive settings. Our course design, as well as our methodology, was grounded in since valid 10 principles of disability justice, including intersectionality, collective access, interdependence, and the joy and value of disabled lives. We extended these with Alison Kafer's political and relational model of disability, which reframes disability as a social and political identity, and Mia Mingo's concept of access intimacy, which calls for trust-based relational approaches to access. Our aim was to not only teach about inclusion, but to help teacher candidates see it is a shared responsibility rooted in justice. We work with 78 early childhood teacher candidates enrolled in a literacy methods course between 2019 and 2023. We use critical discourse analysis, in which we examine class discussions, weekly fieldwork journals, to understand how their language, beliefs, and practices evolve as they engage with disability justice principles. Our coding revealed 5 major themes: ableism, identity, awareness, commitment and advocacy, and structural issues. In terms of the findings, at the beginning of the course, most teacher candidates viewed disability through a deficit lens. Some described children with disability as disruptors or troublemakers, and many admitted that they chose general education specifically to avoid working with disabled students. They also discovered that classroom libraries lacked positive disability representation, and few students had ever heard the term disability justice. 2 course morphs shifted the trajectory of these students' thinking. First, we embedded positive disability representation into every component of literacy instruction. Then, students conducted a culturally responsive scorecard audit of their fieldwork classrooms, making the absence of disability representation visible and actionable. By the end of the semester, we saw powerful changes. Teacher candidates began to understand disability as a valued identity. They recognized that access is pedagogy, that strategies like visual, multimodal expression, and assistant tools benefit all learners. They became more confident and committed to advocacy, developing the relational and trust-based approaches Mingus calls access intimacy. An unexpected but powerful outcome was the impact on candidates who identified as disabled themselves. They reported feeling newly seen and valued, reframing their disability from a barrier to a source of insight. Their presence and visibility model belonging not just for students, but for the teaching profession itself. These shifts also made candidates question why policy continues to separate general and special education so rigidly when real classrooms are deeply inclusive. Adding more special education coursework is not enough. We argue that infusing disability justice into general education methods is a practical, scalable lever to change while we wait for broader reforms to occur. We offer 5 recommendations in our study. We need to infuse disability justice principles across all methods courses, especially in general education, but also in special education programs that don't include them. Include disabled teacher candidates in curriculum design. Expand special education coursework for general educators and pair it with disability justice principles. Increase fieldwork in inclusive classrooms and require co-teaching experiences. And finally, provide faculty professional development that models disability justice principles and the aligned pedagogy. We have to recognize some limitations of this study. This was a single institution study relying on reflective data, and some semesters occurred during the COVID-19 pandemic, which was a mass disabling event. Even so, the findings were consistent. Integrating disability justice transforms how future teachers think, teach, and advocate. Finally, our article was a call to action. Inclusion is not a compliance box to check. It is a collective practice grounded in justice. When we infuse disability justice into general education and special education, we prepare teachers not only for classrooms the classrooms we have, but for the schools we hope to have one day. It is time to move beyond compliance and build belonging. If you need any more information about our study, please contact me at mcall@hunter.cuny.edu. Thank you.